If you're on Social Security right now, studies suggest as many as 1 in 10 earnings records contain an error, not a wrong address, an error in the number that determines your check. And the Social Security Administration will never call you to say they owe you more. $952 billion in wages sits in something called the Earnings Suspense File. That's money employers reported under mismatched names or Social Security numbers, wages that were never credited to anyone's record. Some of that money might be yours. Today, I'm giving you 5 specific SSA forms, real form numbers, not vague promises, that can increase your Social Security check by 30 to 40% in the right situation. And the last form, it can increase your check by 76%. I'll prove it with the math. For each form, I'm going to tell you the exact form number, who qualifies, what kind of increase you can expect, and how to file it. 5 forms, 5 different situations. At least one applies to you, your spouse, or your parents. If you want to catch every form number and deadline I'm about to share, subscribe now. I put out videos like this every week with real form numbers and real dollar amounts instead of vague tips that go nowhere. Here's what's at stake. One missing year on your earnings record costs you roughly $100 a month. Over a 20-year retirement, that's $24,000 gone. Not reduced, gone. And if you're a widow who never explored switching benefits, you could be leaving $200,000 on the table over your lifetime. So which form applies to you? Widows, teachers, anyone who filed early, anyone overpaying on Medicare premiums. I'm going to cover all of it. Form number 1, the one that applies to the most people. Most people assume Social Security calculated their benefit correctly. You worked, you paid in, they ran the numbers, you got your check. Done. That assumption is wrong more often than you'd think. Your benefit is based on your top 35 highest earning years. If one year is missing, an employer filed your W-2 under the wrong Social Security number, your name changed and SSA didn't connect the dots. A plain data entry error, the system doesn't flag it. It plugs in a 0. That 0 drags your entire average down. Permanently. Remember that $952 billion in uncredited wages. The system is not catching these mistakes on its own. The form that fixes this is SSA 7008, Request for Correction of Earnings Record. You file it when a year of work is missing from your record or when the amount is understated. There's a companion form, SSA 7050, that gets you official copies of your W-2 information going back to 1978. That's your documentation. One thing to know, SSA charges $35 to $96 for certified copies through that form. If you just need yearly totals, you can pull those free from mysocialsecurity.gov. But for detailed W-2 records to support a correction, expect that fee. A real situation. A man checks his Social Security statement online and sees that 2009 shows $0. He earned $78,000 that year. His employer filed the W-2 under the wrong Social Security number when he switched jobs. He files SSA 7008 with his W-2 copy attached. 2 months later, SSA corrects the record. His monthly benefit goes up $85 a month. That's $20,400 over a 20-year retirement. From one form. How to check if this applies to you. Go to ssa.gov/myaccount. Log into My Social Security. Pull up your earnings history. Look at all 35 years. If any year shows 0, or a number that looks too low for what you actually earned, that's your signal. Download SSA 7008 from ssa.gov. Attach your documentation, W-2s, pay stubs, tax returns. Submit it to your local Social Security office in person or by mail. Processing takes 10 to 90 days, usually around 2 months. There is a general deadline, 3 years, 3 months, and 15 days from the tax year. But exceptions exist for errors you can prove with documentation. Don't let the deadline scare you off if you have the records. Now, the form number 2 surprises most people because they don't think of it as a Social Security form at all. It doesn't change your benefit amount, but it puts more money in your pocket every single month. Most people believe their Medicare premiums are fixed, that what you're paying is what you're paying, and nothing can change it. Wrong. Your Medicare Part B premium gets deducted directly from your Social Security check. If your premium is higher than it should be, your net check, the money that actually hits your bank account, is lower than it should be. Reducing your Medicare premium is increasing your Social Security check. The problem: SSA uses your income from 2 years ago to set your premium tier. Your 2026 premiums are based on your 2024 income. If your income dropped because you retired, lost a job, got divorced, lost a pension, you are overpaying right now, and SSA will not automatically adjust it. The standard 2026 Part B premium is $202.90 a month. But if your income from 2 years ago was above $109,000 for a single filer or $218,000 for married filing jointly, you're paying a surcharge called IRMAA. There are 5 surcharge tiers and they climb fast: $284.10, $405.80, $527.50, $649.20, and the top tier, $689.90 a month. That top tier costs you almost $500 more than the standard premium. Every single month, yanked right out of your Social Security check. The form that fixes this is SSA 44. Its official name is Medicare Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount, life-changing event. You qualify if any of these happened. You retired, you reduced your work hours, your spouse died, you got divorced, you lost a pension, or you received an employer settlement. And the part most people miss, retirement itself is a qualifying event. If you recently retired and your income is lower now, you almost certainly qualify. The math. A 70-year-old man's employer pension was terminated in a 2024 bankruptcy. His Medicare premium jumped to $405.80 a month based on his old income. He files SSA 44, documents the lost pension. SSA drops him to the standard $202.90. He saves $202.90 a month. That's $2,434.80 a year. If his wife is on the same tier, double it. $4,869.60 back in their pocket annually. Maximum possible savings, if you're on the top tier, $487 a month. That's $5,844 a year per person. File SSA 44 online through My Social Security, by mail, or in person at your local office. Processing takes 30 to 90 days, and if you've been overpaying, they refund the excess premiums already paid. If you're finding this useful, subscribe. I put out content like this every week with real form numbers and dollar amounts. And share this with your parents or your spouse. They need to hear what's coming next. Because form number 3 is the one that makes me angry. In April 2026, the government's own Inspector General found that SSA underpaid 8,618 widows and widowers a total of $50.4 million. Most of those people still don't know. There's a widespread belief that spousal benefits are automatic, that when your husband or wife dies, Social Security figures out the right number and sends you the correct check. The April 2026 Office of Inspector General Audit proved that is not true. 8,618 widow and widower beneficiaries were underpaid approximately $50.4 million. The cause? SSA employees failed to apply the correct calculation method when the deceased spouse died before age 62. Not fraud, not some edge case, a systemic calculation failure. And there's a second finding that's worse. 5,367 widows and widowers could have received $113.8 million more in lifetime benefits, but SSA staff lacked documentation showing they ever told these beneficiaries about their filing options. Nobody explained the strategy. Nobody laid out the choice. SSA processed what was filed and moved on. Here's the strategy they should have explained. If your spouse has died, you can claim a reduced survivor benefit starting at age 60. At full retirement age, you'd get 100% of your deceased spouse's benefit. At 60, you get 71.5%. But here's the move. You take that reduced survivor benefit at 60, and you let your own retirement benefit keep growing with delayed credits until you turn 70. Then at 70, you switch to whichever is larger. This is not automatic. You have to file for it. And you can only do it by calling 1-800-772-1213 or visiting your local SSA office in person. There is no online option for this. The math makes it clear. A widow, age 62, claims her survivor benefit, $1,800 a month. Meanwhile, her own retirement benefit keeps growing. By 70, it reaches $2,400 a month. She switches. That's $600 more per month. Permanently, for the rest of her life. Another case. A late husband's primary insurance amount was $2,420. His widow claims the survivor benefit at 60, $1,730 a month. Her own delayed benefit grows to $2,218 by 70. She switches. Extra $5,856 a year. For life. Over a full retirement, the difference between knowing this strategy and not knowing it is approximately $200,000. Who needs to hear this? Any surviving spouse, especially anyone who claimed their own benefit without ever exploring the switch. And for married couples where one earns significantly less, The lower earning spouse may be able to claim up to 50% of the higher earning spouse's full retirement age benefit. The maximum spousal benefit in 2026 is $2,076 a month. If you're a widow or widower, call 1-800-772-1213 or visit your local office. Ask for a benefit computation worksheet. That document shows you whether you're getting the correct amount. If they tell you no, or if you've already been underpaid, there's a form called SSA 561 that appeals their decision. I'll explain it at the end. Before I show you form number 4, I need you to know something. If you were a teacher, a police officer, a firefighter, or any public employee with a government pension, a law changed in January 2025 that may mean SSA owes you thousands of dollars right now, and they are not going to call you. A lot of people think the WEP and GPO repeal already handled everything automatically, that if you were affected, you've already gotten your increase. For most existing beneficiaries, that is true. SSA did proactively adjust those payments, but there's an entire group of people who were left out. People who never applied for Social Security benefits in the first place, because under the old rules, GPO would have wiped out their entire spousal or survivor check. Why apply for $0? Those people need to file now, for the first time, and they may qualify for retroactive payments going all the way back to January 2024. Let me back up. The windfall elimination provision reduced your Social Security retirement benefit if you also received a government pension from work not covered by Social Security. It could cut your benefit by hundreds of dollars a month, in some cases more than half of what you'd earned. The government pension offset was worse. It reduced your spousal or survivor benefits by 2/3 of your government pension amount. 70% of the people hit by GPO had their entire Social Security spousal benefit eliminated, gone. Who was affected? Teachers, police officers, firefighters, public employees in 26 states: California, Texas, Illinois, Ohio, Colorado, Louisiana, and others. Federal employees hired before 1984. The Social Security Fairness Act was signed by President Biden on January 5, 2025. It retroactively eliminated both WEP and GPO back to January 2024. SSA completed 3.1 million payments totaling $17 billion, 5 months ahead of schedule. For workers affected by WEP, the average monthly increase was about $360. Those hit by GPO, spouses and survivors, often saw significantly more, with some receiving over $1,000 a month in restored benefits. A Texas teacher, age 68, 30 years in a non-Social Security school district, plus 12 years in private sector jobs. WEP had been cutting her Social Security by roughly $360 a month for years. After the repeal, she got a lump sum for the retroactive period and an ongoing increase of about $360 a month. But here's the problem no one is talking about. If you never applied because GPO would have zeroed out your benefit, you need to call 1-800-772-1213 or visit your local office right now and file an initial application. SSA cannot pay you if you never filed. And there's a second problem. Some eligible people are receiving only 6 months of retroactive benefits instead of the full period back to January 2024. If that happened to you, if you were denied full retroactivity, file SSA 561, Request for Reconsideration. That's the appeal form. I'll cover it in a minute. Now, form number 5. This is the one I promised at the beginning, a 76% increase. Most people believe that once you start Social Security, you are locked in forever. That number on your check? That's it for life. They are wrong. If you are within 12 months of your first Social Security payment, there is a form that lets you undo the whole thing. Pull it back, start over. The form is SSA 521, Request for Withdrawal of Application. Here's how it works. You repay every dollar of benefits you received, including any Medicare premiums paid on your behalf. Your application is then treated as if it never existed. You can refile at any later age, including waiting until 70 for maximum delayed credits. This is a one-time option. You get one shot at this in your lifetime, and the 12-month window is strict. Why does this matter so much? Because the math between claiming at 62 and waiting until 70 is enormous. Claiming at 62 permanently reduces your benefit by 30% compared to full retirement age. Waiting until 70 adds 24% on top of full retirement age. The total swing between 62 and 70 is 54 to 76% depending on your birth year. A real case. A woman claims Social Security at 62. She receives $1,920 a month. Then at 63, she lands a high-paying job and realizes she made a mistake. She's still within her 12-month window. She files SSA 521, repays the $21,120 she received. Then she waits. At 70, her new benefit is approximately $3,379 a month. That is a 76% increase over her original $1,920. The lifetime impact, after subtracting the money she repaid, is approximately $276,000 in additional income. For context, in 2026, the maximum benefit at 62 is $2,969 a month. The maximum at 70 is $5,181. The gap is $2,212 a month. Who qualifies for SSA 521? Only people within 12 months of their first Social Security payment. Strict cutoff. No exceptions. You must have the money to repay everything you received. That's the catch. You need the cash. This form is for someone who claimed early and then got a job, inherited money, or simply realized they made a financial mistake. File it at your local SSA office or by mail. It is not available online. And one more thing. If you're past full retirement age but under 70 and already receiving benefits, there's another option: voluntary suspension. No form required. You suspend your payments, earn 8% per year in delayed credits, and your benefit automatically resumes at 70, higher than before. So those are the 5 forms. But there is one more I need to tell you about. The one that protects you if Social Security says no to any of the above. The form is SSA 561U2. Request for reconsideration. This is your safety net. If SSA denies your earnings correction, rejects your IRMAA reduction, underpays your survivor benefit, shortchanges your Fairness Act retroactivity, or refuses your withdrawal, this form triggers a second review. A different SSA official looks at your case from scratch, including any new evidence you submit. You have 60 days from the date you received the SSA decision letter. SSA presumes you received it 5 days after the date printed on the letter, so count from there. That deadline is firm. You can file it online at ssa.gov, by mail, or in person at your local office. It costs nothing. Before you file, request 2 things: a benefit computation worksheet and a detailed earnings record. These documents let you verify whether your average indexed monthly earnings and your primary insurance amount were calculated correctly. If the math is wrong, you'll see it. This is your right. It costs you nothing to exercise it. And it could be the difference between accepting a wrong check for the rest of your life and getting what you actually earned. Remember those 8,618 widows and widowers from the OIG audit? This is the form they should have filed. Now you know about it. Here's how to know which form is yours. If you haven't checked your earnings record in the last year, go to mysocialsecurity.gov today and look for zeros or low years. That's SSA 7008 territory. If your income dropped since you retired and your Medicare premium seems high, SSA 44, you may be overpaying by hundreds every month. If you lost a spouse and never explored switching benefits, call 1-800-772-1213. Ask about the dual benefit strategy. If you were a teacher, a police officer, a firefighter, or any government worker with a pension, check if the Fairness Act applies to you. If you never filed for spousal benefits, file now. If you claim Social Security early within the last 12 months and regret it, SSA 521, you may still have time. And if SSA denied you on any of the above, SSA 561, you have 60 days. Share this video with anyone you know who is on Social Security, your parents, your spouse, your siblings. 1 in 10 records may have errors. Now they know exactly which forms fix them. Which form are you going to check first?